Hello, everyone. Welcome to Knightspeed, Season 3, Episode 11. The Knights, for their annual space game, get risky with Dylan Rizk, come out with a 56-12 winner. I am your host, Matt Johnson, with his brother, Mark Johnson.
Hey everybody, Risky Business
It was risky
has
business on
shown up at the bounce house.
fourth team, fourth team quarterback, I guess. Are you
Fourth
ready to
time's a
say
charm.
our ills? Yeah, our ills, are they cured by now, or is this something you still need to see a little more of?
Uh, he's got me convinced. He's my quarterback for the rest of the season. To where,
I I think through thick or thin, if he struggles, if he doesn't, he stays in there because again, I think he is the future.
yeah,
You know,
well,
you've got two
it's
receivers, and
mind-boggling to me. You have a kid with this kind of an arm sitting, and he's the fourth string quarterback. And to me, this shows that
yeah,
Gus has no idea of what he has, of what's been developed. And I've always heard that it's pretty much you know, it's there's only one guy in charge. But it just goes to show that Gus, you have no idea anymore of how to make a quarterback. You have no idea. And let either A,
yeah,
Harris, who became, you know, the new offensive coordinator, beginning this week, or Darren Hinshaw figure that out for you. Just be the the figurehead at this point.
mm. Well, it's what's funny to me is you had one, two, three, what, six people make the stat sheet on receptions this week, as
Yes.
opposed to our two to maybe three.
We found
You
that
know,
we have a game changer receiver in Jacoby Jones. I mean, that kid's like Mike Evans out there for crying out loud. I mean, the kid's like
well,
6'3",
he's a big receiver.
6'3", 220.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
kind of
he's a
kid that
big.
you can't cover him one guy, you know?
Yeah, well, if you notice that touchdown he got, he just shook the defender off him. That was a great
That's the
pass,
kind of
but
guy to where he's number one. He's new number one to me.
yeah,
And Kobe Jones is a great, or Kobe Hudson is a fantastic player himself. But to me, I've seen enough of Jacoby Jones that tells me this kid's it.
yeah.
He's a
You
future
think about it
star.
also is Kobe Hudson, through thick or thin, if we can somehow make a bowl, has only got 3 games left for us.
Right.
So really, you got to look for the future.
Yeah. I mean, Javarius
Let's say Jacoby
Johnson.
Jones.
Javarius Johnson is a decent player as well. Very very quick kid. Yeah. So we got three receivers. I mean, you've also got Whittemore, and then of course Pittman. Randy Pittman is a heck of a player himself. To where that guy is just talent. You know.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore. And I
Yeah.
believe what Jones and Johnson are both underclassmen also.
Yes. Yes, they are. I
So
think they're
again, with
both.
Dylan Risk, there's your future. You know, your future's right there.
Well, but I don't want to sit there and start talking about Arizona State, but it's going to be definitely a jump in talent this week for Dylan Risk's
Defensive,
skill set.
yeah,
And not that I'm willing to abandon him just yet. Even if he doesn't perform as well, I think he will. I think he's the best shot we got here on out to making a.
yeah. I know, I agree. But I was watching the Arizona tape earlier today, and what I was noticing is they just looked unprepared for us. You know,
Yeah,
because I mean, I guess you didn't know what. And again, you've got a kid who comes out and he starts slinging the ball around. Okay, so we're gonna have to adjust to that. But even when we put Brown in on our goal line situations, they would always bite on the fake. Again, he had that one, end around by himself where he went into the end zone untouched. No one even, they all bought on the fake. It's like, wow. I mean, how unprepared are you guys for that?
yeah.
And he
I
did it
think
time and time.
Arizona's got some problems. I think we saw that they're what they're 3-6 now. I don't see them winning another game. I think that quarterback, who's pretty good, is going to be gone. Number four, I forgot the guy's name. The receiver is gone after this year anyway. He'll be probably
It's senior, I believe.
yeah, he'll be a mid-round first rounder, I think, or
Yeah.
high second rounder. I mean, the guy's a really good player.
Well,
So
the touchdown he
again,
caught was big time.
yeah, I mean, it was a nice
Big time.
kind of exercise to see us actually look like we do practice and play this past weekend. As
I agree.
the 5 weeks prior was like, what are we doing during the week? I mean, this is just awful to look at. And it wasn't the defense was playing so poorly. I mean, but it was just we with the three quarterback, and I'm not going to include EJ Colson, although we'll talk about him later.
Yeah.
Jakari Brown, and at this point, I haven't seen KJ play in so long. I've kind of forgotten. KJ was kind of the same way as Jakari Brown and locking on one receiver. Remember?
Yeah.
And he kind of would run late, or he would get caught up in the pocket and he couldn't get out. I mean, it was just kind of what you saw with Jakari Brown. He's probably a little bit better pass than Jakari Brown.
Yeah. Was his last game Colorado?
No, his last game was Florida.
Oh, that's right.
He lost the Florida game.
I forgot about Florida between Colorado and Cincinnati. I forgot there was the Florida game. That was his last game.
Yeah, he lost the Florida game and then he was done. I mean, he played 5 games.
Yeah.
So we went through 5 games. And the first three, he kind of was able to kind of hide in the first two. He was not good in the first game at all. You saw that.
No.
Second game, he's a little better. Third game, it was his best game, obviously. But it was just, I think we've realized that TCU is not really that good this season.
No.
And then, clock struck midnight and his career turned into a pumpkin.
In Colorado, it struck midnight. And it was wow.
Right.
What do you think? I guess a fourth string quarterback, fourth on the depth chart. He comes in, he runs for 55 yards on 9 carries. He throws, 294 yards on 25 attempts, 20. I mean, did you notice something that I really noticed big time in this one? Yeah, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. How many passes behind the line of scrimmage did we have? Do you know how many we had?
We had a few.
Maybe out of the but it was like less than 5. Five,
but receiver screen stuff that we haven't seen since 2013, or at least till maybe Scott ran a little bit as well, but it was stuff to where you had receivers blocking up in front when the receiver would step back off the ball, and it was always yardage. They were always getting positive yards here, and it was like it was just a refreshing thing to see all the way around to where the offensive line fared well. There's some.
There's still needs some work to be done because you think about that. RJ had 184 yards and 22 carries. Marquis had over 190 yards on 18 carries. He had 4 carries for minus yards. Again, you can't. I mean, it was a noticeable difference when he actually got to the line on some of these, and there was actually a hole there he could actually run through. But he had one where I think he lost 4 yards, where he went first to the left, nothing there, kind of muddled around the middle. Then realize, all right, I got to see if I can go make something that's out on the right side of it, and then he gets tackled, 3 or 4 yards. So he probably ran no less than 20 yards, maybe 30 yards for a 4-yard loss. And again, because he was trying to make something out of it.
That was the nice thing about with the exception of those 3 or 4 plays, he was able to get 3, 4, 5 yards down the field before first contact because we had a passing, and that's what kind of really helped him is that. With Dylan Rizk being able to pass, the running game opened up. Montgomery did okay. It was just a complete, total balanced offense. We had like 600 yards.
If you take out that Hail Mary though, it's probably about 19 for 24 for about 245. Which again, that's serviceable. I'll take that every day.
Still very good for a first start.
Yeah, and again, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
But what he did is he let his chess pieces kind of do their thing. Let them be great.
Yeah, I mean, did you notice he was making checkdowns?
Yes, I mean,
as opposed to just looking at the first receiver, he's not open. I'm gonna run.
Right. Yeah, he's a true passer. He knows. You can tell he knows the offense the best out of all the quarterbacks probably on that team. He's the one who knows the offense best. He is the one who should be starting. This is a basic thing, Gus, that you should know. That's the kid who I need to look at. again, I think you and I spoke about this a couple weeks ago. Mackenzie Milton was a horrible practice player. A horrible.
Yeah,
It just Scott knew what he had. So he'd play him in the game.
yeah,
Obviously, the kid was magic in the games. So maybe Dylan Rizk doesn't practice that well. I don't know. But my
yeah.
point is he does know the playbook best out of everybody. Hence, therefore, he should be getting, sometimes you don't outthink yourself.
Well, if you notice too, he made some really good decisions. He had a third and 10, third and 12, deep in our own end. He gets what, a 35, 40-yard run up to midfield. He did,
Third and 10
again,
on
he
the
did a
nine,
lot of,
if you remember.
yeah.
That was on the nine,
And again,
our own nine. He takes off and
mhm,
gets 45, just past. So
yeah.
that could have been
And it was,
like, that could have been bad
so
to where,
that's something you usually look at being learned. He didn't really, he just did that instinctively. I like that. And he actually has some pretty good wheels,
right. Yeah. I
so
mean, he really looked good. It was a really good first outing, obviously.
yeah,
The space game has its lore of, it wasn't a packed house, but it was probably about three-fourths packed.
yeah. Hey, 8-0 in the space game.
Yeah. And I think that, the crowd really, you have all these people with helmets on, sitting in the stands
Kids love it.
and then
Yeah,
you
the
have the
kids, they
Citronaut
love it.
outfits on and things like that. And you see that the color is kind of, you got the shade of blue in there, you know, along with the black and the gold, which is always kind of funny. Because usually you just see black or gold or white, and
Yeah,
it was a funny thing to see a lot of the blue, the Canaveral blue color that is associated with this game. And
yeah. It
the
was.
thing about it is this game, everybody who went, I want to say 90% who showed up, bought a ticket, sat down, stayed for the entire game. That's the
And
first
really, that
to literally when I was sitting there, usually people, by the time it's in hand, especially when it's 55 to 12 or what it was, you'd have had people getting out, I'm getting out of here. Everybody stayed. They,
well,
they
especially with
wanted, just like me, to see, they didn't want it to stop.
yeah. Well, it's been a while, Mark. It's been what,
Wow.
September,
Yeah, oh yeah, it's
the
been
middle
like
of
40
September since the last
days.
one.
It was like
Yeah,
40
it's been
days
a
or
long
something.
time. So it's you got, again. I had to watch every play just for the fact, because we were literally. I haven't seen this in a month and a half.
No. Yeah,
We had the bye week.
it's a tough five game loss. There are a few things that I found interesting that I want to quickly kind of just before we get too far into this is that at the end of the game, as soon as it ended, EJ Colson ran for the tunnel, didn't shake anybody's hands, didn't hang around, just ran straight for the tunnel, and
Yeah.
that makes me think like, okay,
Again.
what's going on?
Yeah, and if you've got, if also last week with the refusal to go in, if that rumor's true,
That's true.
I think again, we've got a redshirt freshman here. Let him go.
Well, I
And I
think
don't want any.
luckily things work out for a reason, right?
Yeah,
When he did, if it's true that he said, I don't want to go in, or I'm not going
yeah,
in, then, you know, call it fate, call it divine intervention, whatever. But you had a kid, for whatever it's worth. Thank God, right when it started, when he started his press conference, first thing he did was thank God and and his team,
yeah,
and it was a true team
yeah.
kit. It was really kind of refreshing to see.
Mhm. No, I
And
agree. It was.
but yeah, so seeing EJ Colson run off the field, I don't know if he's pouting and he just wants to make a scene, or if he's planning on leaving at the end of the season. I think at this point, we'll find out when it comes to if Dylan plays half as good this week on the road out in, Arizona,
Arizona.
Arizona State, who we, end up playing there in Tempe.
Hmm.
EJ Colson's probably going to transfer anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it. He's what, 17 years old? Has he turned 18 yet?
He won't be 18 until December.
So he still acts extremely immature.
Yeah,
He's a very.
the unfortunate thing is we didn't get to look a lot at him. He only got like
Yeah,
two, maybe three series against Cincinnati.
yeah.
He did okay. He wasn't a bad player. Um, that's why I think what you would have done when they wanted to put you in against BYU, you should have gone in, kid.
Hmm.
I mean, after this week, EJ Colson can play. I mean, he can play for 2 games. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see if, you know, now obviously if for some crazy reason we scored 55 points with Dylan Rizk again out in Tempe, why would you take him out? At this point, you
No, I agree.
got to start building around him, you know? You,
Yeah.
um, I was listening to Christian and Bailey, and Christian kind of made the joke, or actually Bailey or one of those guys made the joke of Dylan Rizk will be as good as we think he is, and at the end of the season, Gus will still try to go find a quarterback in the portal.
Yeah. And
And I was like,
I could see that somehow happening. And again, if that happens, then we got to,
oh, I don't
you
know
know,
if that happens this time. I think what would happen, and I don't know anything about Mahajer, but Mahajer would probably just go, no, that's not happening. You're not doing that.
yeah.
I don't care how good you think this guy is, unless he's Johnny Unitas's nephew. He's not coming here, and or he can come here, but it's not going to cost anything. He's going to try out, and I'm going to decide if he makes starting quarterback. Not you. It'll be my decision.
Yes.
And the thing is, I think right now, Gus, because you see Gus now, and you can tell he's on a short leash, and he's very short with answers, and he's kind of, but he is very structured in his way. And when he walked off the field, people were cheering him. He didn't even look up at,
Yeah.
didn't even look
Yeah.
up, just kind of walked out like screw all yous. Um,
Well, I can imagine being a coach. That's probably one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have people telling you what to do.
well,
That's,
Matt, we got in this mess, and it was only because of him.
oh yeah,
He got us into
he's
this
his
mess.
bed. I
So he
agree.
needs to be told what to do.
Yeah, he
You
made
get
his
paid
bed.
quite a bit. Check your ego, Gus. You're the one who did this. You
Yeah.
started a season with a quarterback who was not prepared, and then you had a
Yeah.
kid sitting on the bench. God forbid, Matt, say he'd been playing for the last 6 games. How good would he be
Yeah.
now, right?
No, I agree.
And there's
Because
just
you talk
no
about it.
excuse, Gus. You've earned this that you now do not get to call things. That
No,
Terry Mahajer has to say, we're not doing this, or yes, we are doing this. Because
no, I agree.
if we're up to Gus, we probably have, Brown still in there. We're probably going
Mm.
back to KJ by now.
Well, I mean, you think about it. I think Brown is really at the top of his learning curve this year. The only thing he's going to get better is he needs an off season.
Well,
Now,
Brown,
I mean,
yeah, he needs to. He doesn't do basic throws. I don't know what he looked like in high school,
yeah,
but I don't know what they ran in high school. There was no way that kid threw in high school.
no, I agree.
You
He
know,
was probably just a good athlete. And again, you've got a lot of poor football that's around.
poor
Really,
tackling and
yeah,
all
because
that.
I think yeah, and again, I guess we talk about defense. That's one thing. One of my kind of big problems with our defense is when we get to isolations. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Total yards, Mark, though, 602 yards for us, 261 for them. Now, mind you, they had 256 yards passing. They only got 5 yards on rushing on Saturday.
Yeah, we had how many sacks did we have?
Uh, three, four.
I think we had 4 sacks, but
Yeah, it was.
I think if you take away the sack yardage, we had
Mhm.
they still only had about like 32 yards,
Yeah,
33 yards, and that's really good. That was one thing that we really did. I think the defense really played well. I think one thing that Coach Addison was talking about, he said, let's stop looking at games as a series. I want
yeah.
play by play. Worry about just this play. From there, we'll worry about the next play. But this play is the only play we're worried about right now.
Hmm.
And I think it seemed to work. Don't worry about, well, it's 3rd down and 2 or it's 2nd and 2. Just worry about making a play here. Don't worry about 3rd down or 4th down or a 1st down. If that happens, just worry about this down. And it
Well,
really
that was the thing is really our best play came from our linebackers this week too. Their best play all season was the space game.
Xeri Alexander, number 24.
Yeah,
I mean, you did point out that he had a coverage lapse on the one touchdown that the tight end caught for Arizona. But other than that, that kid he goes sideline to sideline as good
Yeah,
as anybody. I mean, he's
yeah,
a good tackler.
yeah. There was a tough coverage as it was because he was,
Well, he was a little late on it. I think he was
yeah.
waiting for the run, and all of a sudden he sees the tight end gets past him. He's uh-oh, and he starts chasing him. And then it
Now,
was just kind of
no
that
offense,
quarterback was good enough to make that play.
where's the over the top help though? And he didn't have any.
There was
I
none.
guarantee you have
That's
a
the
safety
reason.
come that way, and it's probably broken up.
Right. Yeah,
The
he
safeties
got kind
apparently,
of caught out of position in that play. But
yeah.
otherwise, like I said, he's great sideline to sideline, you know.
No idea. And again, Ethan Barr played his best.
Yeah, Ethan Barr had a good game, and yeah, it was nice to see these guys really kind of come together. And then, you had the defensive line, Ricky Barber, I think finally got a sack,
Yeah, yeah.
at a key point, Um, obviously Malachi Lawrence has what is the movement where you come up on it like that?
Rip,
Yeah, he has a hell of a rip move. I mean,
yeah,
to where he was just getting past that tackle all game,
yeah.
just rip and past them.
He had 2 sacks too.
Yeah, and
Ricky Barber had a sack and a half, so they were, they did a lot this year. I was kind of shocked about Lee Hunter. I don't know, is he getting double teamed every play?
well, the funny thing is I think what happens is it's like either with Ricky Barber is they kind of hold off first for the run, and then when they
Hmm.
start seeing no, it's just a pass, everybody's out of there, then they start pushing forward. So to me, I think it's kind of more designed for, um, Malachi Lawrence, Dotson, number 6, Nixon,
Yeah,
those guys to make the sacks. I think that if he finally gets flushed back into the middle, then Barber or um, number 2 will get the sack. Otherwise,
yeah.
Lee Hunter. But otherwise, I think it's kind of like, look, we're kind of keeping the line here. You guys got to close in, and if you try to
Hmm.
get out through the top here, we'll grab them
Yeah,
because I think Ricky Barber he was in that backfield quite a bit as well.
he was. They had a lot of pressures, even though they got again 4 sacks. There was a lot of pressuring they did, and again, it was Ricky Barber and Malachi Lawrence who had most of the damage done.
Who's
Um,
number 11?
Najee Kelly,
Yeah, he had a good game too.
yeah, he had a half sack, so he did,
Yeah, but he
yeah,
was he was chasing that quarterback around all night as well.
he had a lot of pressures. And
Which
again, that's what if you can't sack him, you want to try to get a hurry. If you can make him throw on the run where he can't go through his progression, set up, throw, that's what you want. I mean, again, if you can't get him.
right. Yeah. Nigel Kelly, he had a good game. A lot of pressure there, and he only had a half sack. I think he was probably in on more. He just didn't get credit for it.
Yeah.
To like with Ricky Barber, he got the one sack because it was just him,
Hmm.
to make the play, and he made the play on the Arizona quarterback, and it was a good play.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Solid game.
Again, one turnover. The game was really kind of, I guess, other than penalties, it was very much,
We didn't
mistake.
have many penalties. We have 2 penalties,
No, we actually, I think we had 5, 6.
6 penalties. Okay.
We had 5 penalties for 40
I
yards.
knew when the game was still kind of not really in hand, or not.
Yeah,
I mean, it was in hand pretty quickly. Obviously, when it was 35-6, it was in hand.
yeah.
But I want to say well into the third quarter, we only had 2 penalties.
No, no, I agree.
You know?
We
So
had 5 penalties. They had 10 penalties for 100 yards.
yeah, they were doing dumb penalties. Like I think Dylan Rizk went around the end one time on the left side, runs out of bounds, and the guy just creams him. It was like, and that was on third down. It's like,
Yeah,
you cannot do that, man.
yeah,
And that gave us and then we scored later. And it's like,
yeah.
we're not going to be able to count on that with Arizona State. Arizona State's a 6-2 team, much more disciplined. They got like a top 30 defense. It's
I did some film work on them. Are they did lose to Cincinnati. Cincinnati led the entire way.
oh, really
Yeah, and
okay.
Cincinnati pretty much dominated.
Where
Now
they
you get
play
to go, they played him in Nippert. They played him in Cincinnati.
Okay, well, because
But
we're,
it was but
we're taking a
Cincinnati,
long trip out to Arizona.
yeah.
That's a 4 hour trip, ain't it?
Yeah, it's definitely the I believe it's the Pacific time zone.
Uh, it might be. I think I don't think that they do. Obviously, Arizona doesn't do the
They don't.
daylight savers. So right now it might be the Pacific time zone. It's something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Because I forgot they don't. But that's odd. But I guess that's a story for another day. But you think about we had 602 yards, 294 passing, 308 rushing.
Yeah.
So we really,
Complete game, complete balanced game
yeah.
on offense.
Now, do you think this is the start of something, or are you still kind of skeptical?
Well, it was a really, really good first start for Dylan Risk.
Hmm.
I do know he's going up in, you saw him during the game. He just got more and more confident, you know,
Yeah,
and obviously I think last week he probably got the probably majority of snaps with the first team.
yeah.
I think now this week he'll get all snaps with the
Uh-huh.
first team. They may have a package here or there, but Jakari Brown is just he's going to be a package quarterback for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Like what you see with who are the two Navarro, who's now starting at Ohio.
yeah,
He's a starter there. And remember, he was here and he used to do
yeah.
kind of the package here. And then who was that guy that was out of Jacksonville that wound up, God, I want to say in South Carolina as a receiver? Remember that guy?
No.
He came from Kentucky. Come on. This is like
Uh, yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
that guy? And they were package quarterbacks, right?
Huh.
To where Jakari Brown may be a package quarterback of, okay, we're inside the 10, get Jakari Brown in there because he's someone he can
Who runs
pass 10
well, and
yards.
he's over 220 pounds.
Yeah, he can pass 10 yards. He's quick and a little misdirection between him or RJ, it's going to help. But
Well, he needs to learn that also. I mean, in the offseason, he's got to get his passing better.
yeah, he
And
does.
again, and I'm thinking if he looks to leave, unless you go to the G5 level, where are you going to go?
Oh, I don't think he looks to leave. I don't think anybody looks to leave until you're being told, um,
Yeah,
look, you're not going to play here.
yeah.
Might be
And again,
good for you to leave.
he has some improvement to do. I
And some
mean,
of these kids, I guess, get disappointed and they leave, you know? I think that the big key is now, because I was kind of Cave and Call. Remember, were we talking about that? No?
yeah,
With Cave and Call, I guess he decided to redshirt, and I guess that the programs, not just UCF, but all, I'm kind of like, you redshirt if we tell you redshirt. You're not going to sit there and redshirt, get paid, because all these guys are getting paid now.
yeah,
It might not be much, but he's still getting paid. Kind of work out, go on trips, the road trips with the red and everything. And at the end of the season, jump into the portal.
yeah.
Wasted all that money on you
Hmm.
to where you redshirt, you don't get to hang around.
And the paycheck stops.
Yeah. And some of these kids kind of, well, you kicked me off the team. It's like, no, that's how redshirt's supposed to be. It's like when you get redshirted, you may be able to go to team meetings and things like that, but you're not really allowed in the building.
No, yeah,
Redshirting. And technically, it used to be to work on your studies. Remember? It wasn't
yeah.
the kind of thing.
Acclimated to the
Redshirt, you were acclimating to, you know,
life on campus.
life on campus and college work,
Hmm.
studies. So these
Yeah,
guys don't seem to realize that, when they redshirt, like they still want to kind of hang around and weight lift and go to practice and screw around. And then they leave at the end of the year if they don't really kind of, and it's like, no, that's not going to happen.
well, I got to look at this too, and you think, okay, here's a guy. Let's say he does redshirt. If I'm a coach now, looking, do I really take this guy? Because it's been a long time since he's really had any kind of meaningful football.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where Xavier Townsend winds up,
Yeah.
as well as Colton Boomer, you know.
If I were a betting man, I would say Townsend ends up in Boston College.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go to he'll go to our farm team.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what Boston College is. It's our farm team.
Yeah, they're the UCF farm team. because you think of who's it, McDonald's there. You've got obviously Castellanos was there. I could see him winding up there also. And
Right. And you had Ryan O'Neal or O'Keefe go there.
yes,
Ryan
O'Keefe
O'Keefe.
there a couple years ago. Yeah, Boston College is literally they've got a pipeline from UCF to Boston College, which is our cast offs.
Right. Well, that's another thing I get annoyed with about Gus is that, you got these guys and you can't seem to read the room, Gus, when you have a player going, and
What we had is, I mean, before last weekend, Mark, you had three kids who wore UCF uniforms at one time who are now starting for other programs.
you have four kids, man. Four kids, four quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a Navarro kid starting right now.
okay, you've got Navarro, you've got Castellanos, and you've got Mikey. Who's the fourth one?
Oh, who is he?
What's,
I think there are four kids though. I don't. I was listening to a different podcast. They named four kids that are starting elsewhere.
yeah, and it's like you can't run three quarterbacks off, even if it's 3, 4, it doesn't matter. I mean, again,
Right.
they've all found now, mind you, two of them found a spot on a G5 roster, but one of them is actually in a Division 1 roster, Power 5, Power 4.
Right.
So, and again, it's he is the master of the broken play.
Well, good for him. I'm not really going to, sit there and talk about,
Yeah, he's gone. I mean,
whatever, whatever.
I don't wish him any ill will. I mean, he's not ours. But even up pretty much on the time of possession, we were 31 minutes, 21 seconds. They're 28 minutes, 39 seconds. So virtually time of possession was almost equal. How do you have a score which is almost 44 points difference?
We had a lot of quick scores, if you remember, like that
Yeah.
that one bucket play, that rainbow pass to, that Jacoby Jones caught that 40-yarder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that showed right there. That's the kid you got to work on right there. I mean, he just missed Kobe at the first half with that play.
Yeah.
Kobe was trying to get away from him, and he just overthrew him.
Yeah. I think he'd like to have that one back.
Right. And I think he was kind of a little apprehensive, hoping, I don't want this getting intercepted.
Yeah.
It's not like what KJ did against Colorado. He just
Mm-hmm.
threw an interception pass. Like, what was that, man? And then, so I think he kind of threw it to where it's like, well, you're gonna have to make a heck of a play for it if you get it. But the next time when it went to Jacoby Jones, that was just right on stride, right in the bucket. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
stride, and he just the receiver or the defensive back fell down just because it was such a nice play.
Well, I also don't think he could knock him around again. He was probably outweighed by about 20 pounds, 30 pounds.
Right, right. I mean,
That was the difference. Now, funny, we did have a fourth down conversion, but you think about it, we're 6 of 9 on third downs. We only had 9 third downs the entire game.
not bad.
That's,
I mean, when you look at Matt, the 5 games prior to this game, did you see that stat I gave you? I think we were 22 for 47
yeah, on third down.
on third down.
Yeah, so under 50%.
Yeah, or something like it might have been 12 for 47. It was like 27% is what we were.
Yeah,
I want to say it was 12 for 47, which is awful.
yeah,
That's awful.
well, that's why you're
Yeah.
0-5 in that stretch. So because you can't stay on the field.
And yeah, 12, convert 12 times out of 47 times. That's, my God.
Well, you're giving your offense every drive 2 plays, and we're not playing in Canada. I mean, this is, first, second down, then all of a sudden you got a kick on third down because if you don't, it's a turnover.
Right.
But no, they did. I mean, they looked very efficient. They looked poised, and again, with a 56, point venture, it just showed that they're ready to go. I mean, I wish we could call every game the space game. We play like this.
Gus made the joke about like we should probably wear the space uniform for the rest of the year.
I agree. Because again, they were entirely
The
different.
sharp uniforms,
Looked sharp, played sharp.
right. To where, yeah, that's going to be, you know, telling to see how we play for the rest of the season. You want to move on from Arizona and go to ASU? We're in
Let's go. Yeah, let's do it.
35 minutes into the podcast here. It might be time to
Yeah.
move on to Arizona State. Arizona State 6-2 really took apart Oklahoma State last weekend at Oklahoma State, mind you.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising.
They've got a top, I don't want to say 25, but they're in the top 30, their defense. So they've got a good defense. They've got a really good running back. Um, the coach for Arizona State used to coach at UCF.
Who's that?
The head coach. He was a I want to say he was either a quarterback or a running back coach at UCF a couple years back. Coach, Malzahn found him. He was coaching at Memphis.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was one of Norvell's coaches. And then
Huh.
Norvell left for Florida State. He didn't take him with him, so Gus hired him.
Hmm.
And you know,
Arizona State too came off a bye week before Oklahoma State.
okay,
So I think they're, well rested. But you're right, they did go into Okie State, and put 42 up on the Cowboys in their building. So it's, but again, they've beaten Arizona has beaten Utah. They've beat Kansas. They
yeah.
lost to Cincinnati. So I mean, they've
So they lost to Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati's turning it around, or I guess it's Houston's who's turning it around.
yeah, Cincinnati got up big 24-14 and just kind of held on to the ball against Arizona. Arizona was trying to get a comeback, but they just kind of ran out of time.
Kenny Dillingham is the coach at Arizona State.
I don't remember him.
I don't either, but I want to say he was a running backs coach or something like that. Like the first year when Gus was here, Dillingham was here.
And now he's the head man, huh?
Yeah, now he's over at
Hmm.
Arizona State. So yeah, we know him, and so they lost to Cincinnati. Beat Oklahoma State. Now they got us. Who else did they lose to? Do you know?
I don't. Like I said, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, they said another 6-2, as you said, but they don't have any. And again, they play us and then they play K State after that. So
You got
well,
BYU. BYU's
they
pretty tough.
they beat Wyoming, which, they barely beat Mississippi State.
Still beat them, right?
Yeah, by 7.
And Texas State. I think they beat Texas State when they played them earlier
They
this year,
beat them by 3, yeah.
and they were down. So
Yeah, and then they lost to Texas Tech. Texas Tech beat them.
Texas Tech beat
Iowa
Iowa
State.
State this weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, this is kind of that kind of conference, man. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday night.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's a very even conference. The teams really kind of, again, and that you can always go back to last year game against Oklahoma State when we beat them by 42 points, and they were one of the representatives in the Big 12 championship.
Right. I think Oklahoma State found out what it was like to play in a space game last year, and this year it was Arizona who had to find out the hard way. You know, it's funny this how this team and this fan base really gets up for that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of mentioning it earlier, but it's something that again I was planning on selling my ticket, Matt, and not go to the Arizona game.
Yeah.
I had work to do. I couldn't sell it. Not for, I mean, I could have sold it for nothing, like for $25. And I said, no, I prefer to go and, and just watch the game.
Yeah.
I went to the game instead of selling the ticket because I was not going to sell it for, that low. And really glad I went. And I was really surprised on how many people were there, compared to, I mean, this is a 3-5 team,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm expecting it's going to be a barn. Now you didn't have, but you had really good representation on both sides of the stadium. It was just a lot of students didn't show up again. But I have a feeling they may come back if this game starts to take off. This team
Well,
starts
if we can win in Arizona State, and now you've got 2 games, you become bowl eligible,
right,
they might come back.
right. We got a bye right after the Arizona State game,
Mm-hmm.
so then we got to go to
West Virginia, we
West
got to do Country
Virginia,
Road.
which is going to be hard.
Yeah,
But if we can win one of these next 2 games, then the Utah game makes it.
everything's on
It'd
the
be great
line.
to win all 4 games. That would be
Oh,
win
that would
win
be
3, lose 5, win 4. That's a but finish the season at 7-5 would be
that
amazing.
would be something if we were 7-5 at the end of the season.
To where we got to figure out how not to. And I don't think if Gus would have done what he should have done and figured out who the quarterback was and not sit there and spend a bunch of money on somebody who people were telling him this guy's not it.
Yeah,
Because everybody who knows anything about this program, Matt, and or who barely knows anything about the program, like an outside media people thought, well, he when he went in on KJ Jefferson, everybody thought, well, he's got his quarterback. And then you kind of realize, no, that's not it.
yeah.
And those who were closest, in Arkansas are going, don't touch the guy. He's average at best,
Mm-hmm.
can't throw.
Don't give them that kind of money. Yeah.
And well, it is. You know,
Well, if you look at Arizona State, it looks like everything they have goes through a guy by the name of Cameron Scatterborough. He's a running back. He's a receiver. I guess he takes 4 receptions out of the backfield. Heck, he had 121 yards last week and 2 touchdowns on receptions. He
right.
carried the ball also 23 times for 153 yards.
5'10", 225-pound back. He's almost like someone we know, right?
That's like an anvil.
Well, that's like RJ. Isn't he like
Is RJ that heavy?
7, 5'7", 220? Oh, he's all muscle, RJ.
Yeah. I don't know if RJ's 225.
Well, I'm gonna check it real quick. I'll tell you exactly what he is. RJ Harvey is 5'9", 205.
Okay. It says that this kid, Cameron Scatterborough, is 5'11", 216.
He's a big kid.
Oh, yeah, that's still good size.
Yeah, it's really good size.
So
And Sam Leavitt, where did he come from?
their quarterback,
Yeah, he like Jaden Rashada got dismissed.
he's from Michigan State.
Yeah, so the kid from Michigan State last year came in and he's actually doing pretty good. You know,
Yeah,
um,
and the old
they,
Miami
they're a
quarterback.
decent team. This is one of those things to where we're really going to have to play a perfect game, and we're going to have to do kind of. Not saying it's going to be as easy as it was last Saturday, but we're going to have to be able to kind of pass and run to set up the run, and
Yeah,
vice versa, and then we're going to have to play mistake-free defense of stupid penalties, things like that. We can't do that this late in the season.
no, I agree. And I think if we can, we don't even have to go 20 to 25 next week. If we can somehow pass around 200 yards, we make Arizona State believe we have a passing game that can hurt them. I think the running game will take care of itself.
Right.
Just
Keep Dylan up.
yeah,
He should be able to hit some of these receivers. The thing about it is I think everybody's kind of pointing out, well, they didn't have tape on Dylan. It's like you kind of did. He did play a little bit in the BYU game. I mean,
yeah,
I just think Arizona's kind of shut it down for the season. I think you got anybody who, if he's worth anything, he's gone after this year. Like,
yeah.
play somewhere else. And so I think Arizona's in a rebuild. Matt, they finished what, winning 10, 11 games last year? They won a bowl game. Didn't they win one of the, one of the New Year's Day bowls?
Who's at Arizona?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Arizona did last year. Like I said, because they were in the Pac-10, Pac-12 last year.
Right. But
So I'm not really sure what they did.
well, I'm not sure I'll be able to find it on, here we go.
You got again a lot of these.
They won the Alamo Bowl and they beat Oklahoma last year.
Wow, ain't that something? And Oklahoma was a top 10 team for a while.
So, this is one of those things to where I remember, yeah, they won their bowl game last year, and everybody thought that they were going to be one of the better teams coming in the Big 12, and it just hasn't
Yeah,
really worked out. I mean, you got to remember that coach that was the Arizona coach went to Washington,
yeah,
and that kind of turned everything kind of upside down, I think, in
hmm,
Arizona.
yeah.
But you know, it was definitely they had a good team last year, and it just really hasn't worked out for them this season. You know,
No, when you think about it, I mean, they've been in. You look at their schedule. They got
yeah.
blown up by Kansas State. They beat Utah.
Well, that's why I think we're looking at with Utah, we're looking at a win. Like if
Yeah,
at home, I think Utah is about ready to shut it down as well, pretty
has
much.
Utah collapsed? I mean,
Yes,
what's
I
going
think
on
they
there?
got a lot of injuries,
Yeah,
and I think that they're just not really playing good football right now.
yeah, because that's something.
So, that's why it's so important that one of these next two games we got to win.
Yeah.
I wish, like you're saying before we got on, that it would have been nice to really kind of been able to try and win the Cincinnati game. Not
Oh, again, because it was very winnable. It was a very winnable game. That's
yeah,
what makes
just
it.
had such poor quarterbacking
Yeah,
that, well, we lost.
with good quarterbacking, we win the Cincinnati game, and we probably win the Iowa State game.
Yeah, no, that's
So
true.
instead of 4-5 now. Now we're what 6-3, and really don't have to win another game to go to a bowl game, but we could win one, possibly two games. And now you're 8-4, and that was the prediction I had at the beginning of the season.
It's a pretty good season, second year in.
Yeah, 8-4 would have been a good
And then
season.
you know how it is, man. You found your quarterback. You know,
Yes.
you're really feeling good about your team. I
Yeah.
mean, this team we're losing a lot of kids. You know,
Well, we lose what 4 or 5 offensive linemen, correct?
right?
That's a
So
lot.
we're going to have to go into the portal and buy a couple linemen. I mean, I think we have a few that have come in that like Walt Clyn Flair is a center. He'll probably play guard next year
Yeah. You think Kidler stays at center?
next to Kittler. Yeah, and Kittler will play center. And I think Kittler's a senior next year, isn't he?
He's a sophomore now.
Oh, okay. So it'll be interesting because I know with Walt Clyn Flair, he's a center too, but you got to put them both out there.
You,
And if
you have
Kittler
to.
gets injured because Kittler he missed the game, I think, this year, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, here's an interesting stat. When Arizona beat Oklahoma, Mark, in the bowl game, Jackson Arnold played quarterback, not Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's
So that coach ran Dylan off before the Alamo Bowl game, huh?
yeah. And the kid threw 3 picks, Jackson Arnold. So yeah, that's kind of telling.
Well, the kid stinks. That Jackson Arnold kid stinks. He's going to make that coach lose his job for running Dylan Gabriel off.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But it's always funny of how that seems to work itself out. That you know, okay, you want to talk anything more about the Arizona State game? 4 hour flight out there. I think we're going to leave the
Uh,
4.
I think if we have again, I don't think we're going to get a game like we did this past Saturday because I think they're playing a better team. But if we can just be again smart with the ball, no turnovers, keep the penalties down, and again, if he didn't throw for almost 300 yards, but let's say he throws for 195, I still think we can win. Because again, if you make them respect the pass, that will help us out with our running
I
game.
think he's accurate enough and he's good enough with the playbook, Matt. He'll
Yeah,
throw for more. He'll throw at least 250.
yeah.
I think. He may. Thing is, I think we had one pass that Matt should have been intercepted by him, and it got dropped.
It was
Next
that
week,
first drive. Yeah,
yeah, next week that gets intercepted this time. So you got to watch that. I mean, he threw it in kind of, it was beginning of the game to where I don't think his confidence was as high yet. So, but yeah, he threw it. I want to say it was to Randy Pittman, and Pittman
hmm,
was surrounded by people, and it
yeah.
got tipped up or something like that. And I think a better defense probably picks that off.
Yeah,
You got
it's
to
no.
watch kind of the double triple coverage. If you're going to do it, you're going to have to hit him right in the numbers with it.
But you remember, he's got 5 quarters under his belt.
Yeah,
He's got some game experience now.
right. And he didn't look overwhelmed,
Yeah.
like he was ready to pass out like he did against in the BYU game. So I guess he might have just had a bunch of nerves there at first.
hmm
Or
And again, with him, even on a non-scoring drive, even if, let's say he goes 8, 9 plays, and we have to punt the ball back to him, or try a field goal try, that's still giving the defense time to actually recuperate on the sideline. Stuff we didn't have the past 5 weeks.
what was that missed field goal? How many yards was that? Do you know that?
48, very makeable.
Yeah,
He was wide. I mean, he had plenty of distance.
yeah. I think because he was on that side anyway, so it just never kind of went. He just kind of kicked it straight, and you need to kind of
Yeah,
more to an angle because he had plenty of distance. He just went wide with it.
yeah. I mean, we didn't need it, but yeah, it would have been nice to have had it.
Well, yeah. Well, he's now the kicker, and
Yeah.
he's a freshman, right? He's a redshirt freshman, but he is a
Mhm.
freshman, so he's going to be the kicker for the next 4 years because you know Boomer's gone.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be interesting, because he doesn't do kickoffs.
No.
Tight end does the kickoffs. Number 44,
hmm
which is always pretty interesting, you know.
That is interesting because that's the kid with the tight end
Like Michigan
from
State.
Michigan State, right?
Yeah.
The transfer.
Yep. He does the kickoffs. And that was one thing I noticed that he didn't uh I guess we scored so much, you can't expect him to kick it out of the back of the end zone because he was kicking against the wind a lot.
I think Colton Boomer, they're saying is injured. I thought he was off the team.
Yeah, I think he's gone. He quit.
Yeah, but they're saying right here that KJ Jefferson's on the injured reserve, along with Damari Henderson and Jordan Davis. Interesting.
Yeah, Jordan Davis is injured.
Yeah.
Um, Damari Henderson is injured, you know. Like he was injured at the start of the season. I think he blew his knee out, just like Mike Walker's out, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder what kind of progress he's doing.
well, he just had surgery 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. Mike
Okay.
Walker. So it'll be interesting. I mean, he's out obviously for the year, but
Yeah.
um,
Interesting.
yeah.
You got any predictions for next week's game?
Yeah. I mean, we always do predictions. I think it'll probably be a high scoring affair, just because Arizona State, it is a hot ticket now. I hear they have, it's 65,000 people there, 70,000 people at that stadium. And
Is that the one in Tempe?
yeah,
Is that where the Cardinals play? They play there too?
not it. No, they play on, remember the old
Tampa?
Fiesta Bowl stadium?
Yeah,
That's where Sun Devils play.
got it. So that's their
They
home
don't
state.
play in the Cardinal Stadium in that the Fiesta Bowl stadium. No,
Okay.
but yeah, that holds 72,000 people, I think, or something like that. It's
Yeah, it's
I can probably tell you real quick how many it holds, but they do have a good crowd,
yeah.
and of course, it's not going to tell me.
It never does, right?
Right. Nonetheless, with that being said, it's going to be a tougher game, for him this week, and
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
we'll see if how the film study goes with it. See what kind of student of the game he is, and again, hopefully, from game one to game two, you always improve.
Right? True.
And maybe,
I think if he's able to hit his receivers, things like that, gets time, because I think what they're going to do with him a lot is they're probably going to sit there and shadow blitz him.
yeah,
There's going to be a blitzer coming all the time. He's not going to have any idea where it's coming from.
yeah,
And he's going to have to be able to pick that up and hit. an accurate pass, because that's where you start getting turnovers, right?
Mhm.
And
Well, what worries me more than that is, and I wanted to mention this earlier in the program, was our isolations on our cornerbacks. When they get isolated with a receiver, they're awful. I mean, and
well,
that's something we've got to worry
Jabari
about.
Henderson is not good. That
Yeah,
kid's not good.
we
That's the
get
kid.
one v one with receivers, and more times than not they get beat.
Well, that number four, I'll tell you his name here. Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, and again, if we let him, get in
He he
the flats,
abused he abused Jakari Henderson. Abused him on that touchdown. It was like two plays.
yeah,
Long passage to Scatterbo, and Henderson fouled him, of course. I think he still caught it, maybe he didn't, but it was. And then in the touchdown, he was all over Scatterbo. Scatterbo just kept him off with one hand and caught it with the other hand. It was like, wow, you know,
it, yeah, it was tough.
you could have just kept him. Just might as well just not even covered him. Just
Well,
send another blitzer to him.
their number four would catch one in the and usually shake somebody. Now they did recover, and it would be like maybe anywhere between 8 and 11 yards extra, but it was like, wow, you got to make that tackle.
Right, we do need to tackle well this weekend, or this is a better team, a much better team than what we played last Saturday.
No, I agree.
I think we're about 56 minutes into the pod here, so
Yeah,
um, I think this is gonna be a hard one to call. I think we could probably score at least 17 points if we have a bad night.
yeah,
I don't think we can hold them to 17 or under 17,
no,
our defense. So I'm still gonna say we're probably gonna lose,
I do too. I
just
think we lose
because
all.
I think Arizona State's a good team. Um, but hopefully we keep it close.
Yeah, I
And
think we have a better chance of beating West Virginia and West Virginia.
right. And I thought that would have been unfounded at the beginning
Yeah,
of the season.
no, I
Just
agree.
but West Virginia, I guess, is having such a bad season,
Hmm.
that they've pretty much given up too. They fired their defensive coordinator. You know,
Yeah, I'd like to get a little payback from last year on West Virginia anyway.
well, they still got a lot of the same players at West Virginia, so we're gonna
Yeah,
have to play well. And
yeah,
you can't give the ball over four. You can't do four turnovers, and that's the thing I think we got to worry about with ASU. Dylan, you can't turn into a turnover machine,
no, no, I agree.
because like Saturday, did he have any turnovers?
No, no turnovers at all.
That's the big key. You cannot have turnovers, and especially with a young quarterback.
Well, turnover in the entire game. That was the one fumble in the first. I think was it Arizona's first or second possession, and that was the only turnover.
Right, it started raining, just like last
Yeah,
year. As soon as it started raining, all hell broke loose for him. You know,
it
and
was very reminiscent of the Oklahoma State game last year.
yeah, yeah, it was a good time other than sitting in the rain. You know,
Yeah, I'm going to say UCF also. I'm going to say going out into Tempe next week, we do lose also. I'm going to say they beat us 30-21.
I was gonna say 38-21. Just I think because I think
Yeah,
they'll tack on a late one.
yeah. I could be.
They'll be
Yeah, but
by 10, 11 on us, and they'll tack on a late one just
I
to
think we get some valuable learning, but I still think we don't win.
no.
No, I think this was a. I'm still not bought back in yet.
I would agree. Yeah, I'm thinking 38-21, 38-20.
Yeah, I don't think we've turned the page yet.
And
I did love this Saturday, but we're not there yet.
right. No, I got you.
Well, I guess until next week, I guess we'll watch on Saturday and see how it goes.
Yeah, and maybe we'll try and I don't know what you're doing Saturday night. Usually you maybe have plans every Saturday night, but maybe we should try and do a quick reactionary pod.
We could do that. Yeah.
Games at 7, I believe.
Okay, because it's 4 o'clock out there, so I would say it
Yeah.
makes
They were,
sense.
they were thinking it was going to be a 9 o'clock game, 10
Oh,
o'clock game. And it was that. I was like, well, I guess we can have a reactionary on Sunday, but
that's tough. Yeah.
we're going to do that. We might as well just do the whole pod.
Yeah.
But do a quick reactionary Saturday night, good or bad. And,
Yeah.
we'll be home. Might as well do it, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, you want to wrap this up?
All righty, yeah. So for Knightspeed, I'm Matt Johnson.
And I'm Mark Johnson.
I wanted to say, go Knights. Good luck against Arizona State.
And charge on, everybody.